Shalom. This is Brother Aliyah coming back at it with another video, right? And before I jump into it, I'm going to give all praises, honor, and glory to the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushua. Alright, and so, right, I'm coming back at it with a part 3, right, to the 2-part series, which I previously done, right, on Esau being a so-called white man today, right? And in this third part, which is the final, right, episode of the series, right, I'm going to be diving into how not only is Esau the so-called white man, but how, right, America, right, is Babylon the Great, the daughter of Babylon, right, that last ruling captivity and kingdom and empire that will rule over the Israelites, right, as prophesied by the Most High, right, through the mouth of his prophets, right, before the kingdom of heaven is established through who the world enemy called Jesus Christ, Hamashiach Yahushua the righteous. Alright, and so, right, we're going to dive straight into it. Right, so I'm going to kick it off with Psalm chapter 137 and verse number 7. And it reads, Salaki. Remember, O Lord, the children of Edom in the day of Jerusalem, who said, raise it, even to the foundation thereof. Right, so in this account right here, right, matter of fact, I'll start from the top of verse 1. By the rivers of Babylon, there we sat down, yet we wept when we remembered Zion. Right, and we understand that Neo-Babylon, or ancient Babylon, was one of the places that had with Israel in the captivity, the southern kingdom, right? And so here you have in the song, right, the mourning for the Israelites, right, being in captivity to the Babylonians, alright? You know, so jumping down to verse number 7. Remember, O Lord, the children of Edom, right? So the children of Edom would be the so-called white man, right, descended from Esau, right, who are the nation, or who is the nation that the Lord hates, right, according to the Bible. That's Romans 9:13. So the Lord hates the so-called white man. He hates Esau, right? And Esau, right, they were the nation, right, that was the chief enemy of the people of God, alright, the Israelites, the so-called Black, Hispanics, and Native Americans. And they were back then, and they still are today. Alright, so the Lord is bringing into account in this precept, right, what these people have done to the Israelites, the chosen people of the Most High God, right? Remember, O Lord, the children of Edom in the day of Jerusalem, right, who said, raise it, even to the foundation thereof. And that's talking about many foes, man, on the diverse atrocities in which they've done, specifically, especially, right, what they've done alongside the Babylonians, right, and shedding the blood of the Israelites, alright? That's the heinous act in which they committed against the chosen people of the Heavenly Father, right? And the Lord, again, is bringing that into remembrance, right? He's enforcing a judgment, right, that he's going to have for those people, right, in the latter days. This is the book of Obadiah, chapter 1 and verse 10, right? For thy violence against thy brother Jacob, right, because they done violence against us, shame shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off forever, right? And so the Lord is establishing a judgment for what they've done and how they're going to be cut off, right, forevermore because of the evils of their doings, alright? This is the book of Psalm chapter 50 and verse number 20. Thou sittest and speakest against thy brother, thou slanderest thine own mother's son. That's on a physical and spiritual level, right? They slander, they talk bad about us, they talk down on us, right? They use all kind of wordplay to stereotype us and all these different things, right? And, you know, they also, you know, have done things to us on a physical level, you know, their own mother's son, right? Because remember, Jacob and Esau were twins in the womb of, right, Rebecca, right? But these people, they've done treacherous against us, and they backstabbed us, right, because they were jealous, right, of the things that the Lord gave to us, right? This is the book, read verse 21. These things hast thou done, and I kept silence. Thou thoughtest that I was altogether such a one as thyself, but I will reprove thee and set them in order before thine eyes, right? So the Lord said he's going to reprove them, and he's going to set them in order. He's going to tell you how he's going to do that, right? We read the rest of Psalms 137, but nonetheless, back in Obadiah chapter 1 and verse 10. For thy violence against thy brother Jacob, shame shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off forever. Right, so Esau, or Edomites, right, the Lord said they're going to be cut off forever, meaning they're going to go extinct. Alright, verse 11, and it reads, day that thou sittest on the other side, and the day that the strangers carried away captive his forces. And those strangers that it's talking about is talking about the Babylonians, right? When they besieged Jerusalem, right, and they ransacked the temple, they slain and destroyed, and pillaged and robbed the men, the women, the children of all the diverse riches, right, in the land, and they put them into captivity as well. And foreigners entered into his gates and cast lots upon Jerusalem, man, right? It was bitten off the land of Israel. Even thou was as one of them, right? Because what so-called white man Esau, he joined hand in hand with these people, even though they had nothing. They wasn't involved with this war. It was between, again, Israel and the Babylonians. But Esau came out of nowhere and just straight joined hand with our enemies, man, because again, that hatred that they had towards our people, the so-called Black Spanish and Native Americans, they always kept it, and they still keep it to this very day. Right? They're not going to go out and say, oh, I hate the so-called Black Spanish and Native Americans, because if that was the case, then our people would want no dealings with these people. But these people were made to be serpent-like, snake-like, right, to hide all of this deceit and this guile under their tongue, right, like the serpent in the Garden of Eden, right, of which, you know, Esau, so-called white man, takes on the attributes and the characteristics of that serpent that was actually in the Garden of Eden. Alright, there's no coincidence, right? The Lord requires that which is past, right? So it says, but thou shouldest not have looked on the day of thy brother, and the day that he became a stranger, neither shouldest thou have rejoiced over the children of Judah in the day of their destruction, neither shouldest thou have spoken proudly in the day of distress. Verse 13, thou shouldest not have entered into the gate of my people in the day of their calamity. Yet thou shouldest not have looked on their affliction in the day of their calamity, nor have laid hands on their substance in the day of their calamity. Neither shouldest thou have stood in the crossway to cut off those of his that did escape. Neither shouldest thou have delivered up those of his that did remain in the day of distress. Right, so they killed, they stole, they pillaged, they put in captivity, you know, they enslaved, right? And now they want to try to act like they're our buddies, as if they're our friends. And they're still continuing to do these same things to this very day. Nothing has changed about them. Right, let me get Ecclesiastes real quick. Chapter 1 and verse 15. It's the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 1 and verse 15. That which is crooked cannot be made straight, and that which is wanting cannot be numbered. Right, so Esau was made to be crooked. They were made to be wicked. Right, they're literally called the wicked all throughout the Bible. That's Malachi chapter 1 verse 1 through 4 on down. Right, so with that being the case, right, it's in them to do evil, especially against the commandment of the Lord, right? Because they're the wicked, right? They're the people created to be destroyed, as it states in the book of Proverbs, chapter 16, and verse number 4. All right. So reading on, right, on Psalm 137, I'm saying verse 7 once more. Remember, O Lord, the children of Edom in the day of Jerusalem, who said, raise it even to the foundation thereof, O daughter of Babylon, right? And the daughter of Babylon is dealing with America, right? I'm going to get to that in a second. Who are to be destroyed? So America is going to be destroyed. Whoever this daughter of Babylon is going to be destroyed, right? And not only is it going to be destroyed, but the Lord specifically states how it's going to be destroyed, right? All throughout the books of the prophets, especially Jeremiah 50th and the 51st chapter, he says that America's, or Babylon the Great, is going to be destroyed with fire. All right. Happy shall he be that rewardeth thee as thou hast served us, right? Meaning the one who will give vengeance upon our enemies in these nations that have done all these atrocities against us, and they're going to be the ones that's glad and rejoicing, and it's going to get the last laugh at the end of the day. All right. Happy shall he be that taketh and dashes thy little ones against the stones, right? Because what? Israel, the elect, those keeping these laws and commandments and believing on Yahweh Shah Mashiach until the end, they're going to be the ones, right, to get that revenge for what these nations have done on us, chiefly upon Esau and his kingdom. Psalm 129, I'm going to verse number 6. Chapter 5. Let the saints be joyful in the glory of the saints of the Israelites. That's Psalm chapter 50 and verse 5. Psalm chapter 148 and verse number 14. Let them sing aloud upon their beds, and let the high praises of God be in their mouth, and the two-edged sword in their hand, to execute vengeance upon the heathen, and punishments upon the people, to bind their kings with chains and their nobles with fetters of iron, to execute upon them the judgment written. This honor have all his saints, praise the Lord. So that's what the elect, the chief, those that the Most High is going to save, the Israelites, they're going to do upon these nations, especially Esau, for what they've done, right? And the Lord prophesies ultimately that Esau is going to be set up in the last days as the daughter of Babylon, that last only kingdom that will have the Israelites in the captivity, right? And then at the end, the Lord's going to have it to where the Israelites, right, they get their get back, they get it back in blood, and their kingdom's going to be established forevermore after that, all right? And so, with that being said, through the Spirit, let me get this precept in Lamentations right? Chapter 4, right? So we understand again that Esau will be the one ruling the daughter of Babylon in the last days. All right, this last ruling kingdom, which the Israelites will have in captivity. And this verse right here is in Lamentations chapter 4 is going to prove how that America, Babylon, and Greek is that last ruling empire that will have the Israelites in captivity until the end. As for us, our eyes is yet filled for our vain help. In our watching, we have watched for a nation that cannot save us. And that's our people today. Our people, they look to voting, right? They look to protesting and marching, right, on the streets. They look to, trying to succeed in the white man's colleges and all these institutions and his government system to be able to come out victorious in the end, right? But guess what? At the end of the day, this is doing nothing to save and help our people as a collective, right? Our end is near, our days are fulfilled, for our end is come. Right, meaning what? Slakia. I jumped the gun on that. Right, verse, let's see. I'm sorry, 17 again. As for us, our eyes are yet filled for our vain help, and in our watching, we have watched for a nation that cannot save us. Right, that's what we've done. We watched for a nation of people that can't even save us. Verse 18, they hunt our steps. Right, literally, police brutality. Right, the illicit killing of so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native American women each and every single day. They say it's a known statistic that every 18 hours a so-called Black, Hispanic, Native American man is gunned down. They hunt our steps that we cannot go in our streets. That's on a literal level. Our end is near, our days are fulfilled, for our end is coming. And what? The time for our captivity, the time for these Gentiles and these other nations to rule over us, that 42 a month talked about in the scriptures being fulfilled, that 1,203 square days being fulfilled, right? That time and a half being fulfilled, right? That's the thing, right? That's underway. All right, right. So that's ultimately talking about, right, the last captivity in which the Israelites being in, that is about to be accomplished, and the Israelites going to be delivered, and they're going to have their everlasting kingdom set up and ruled, right, in forevermore. Verse 19. Our persecutors are swifter than the eagles of the heaven, right? And that's the spirit, man. Right, what nation is known for having the eagle as their emblem? America. Right, that's the number one nation, right, that's known to boast in that emblem. Now, of course, they're going to throw in random answers, right, or whatnot, right? But we understand that that's talking about America, right? They're going to play all these games, right? But it's talking about America, Babylon the Greek. Right, and if it's not, and they want to mention these different countries, and those nations are ruled over by this chief country, being America. Alright, so it's talking about these Edomites, man, these people right here. In Deuteronomy 28 and verse 50, through the Spirit, right, prophesies these people being set up and ruling over us in the last days as well. Alright, so we know it's talking about, that's another pinpointing factor of who it's talking about. It's talking about the so-called white man, these Europeans that founded this country of America, right, that ultimately was an extension of the Roman Empire, right, and was birthed, right, through the so-called United Kingdom, right, and the civil, what was it called, the Civil War that they had, here, over this land, right, of which, those so-called British people, the UK's, the Brits, right, they got their freedom, right, from, the King of London, or whatever the case may be, and that secured, what's known as America, so-called Declaration of Independence, right, all these different things. All right, and so that's going back to these Europeans, man. Where they try to hide under the different, terms, German, Poland, American, but they're all going back to Esau in the scripture, right? We ought to obey God. That's Acts chapter 5 and verse number 29. Right, so God calls these people Esau, right? And he identifies them with being like an eagle, right? That's just one of the many animals. So also identifies them with being like a serpent, a snake, right, with poison under their tongue because they're estranged from the womb, speaking lies. Right, let me get that real fast. In the book of Psalms, chapter 58. Psalm 58, and I'm starting at verse number 2. Yeah, in heart ye work wickedness, ye weigh the violence of your hands in the earth. Alright, and it's talking about Esau, so-called white man. Right there in every landmass and territory, doing the same thing they've done to us for hundreds of years, which is what? None other than rape, robbing, and pillaging, and oppressing. The wicked are estranged from the womb, right? I mean, as soon as they're born, they go astray. As soon as they be born, speaking lies. Therefore, their poison is like the poison of a serpent. They are like the deaf adder that stoopeth her ear, which will not hearken to the voice of charmers, charming never so wisely. Alright, so Just letting you know, man, that these people, they speak lies as soon as the moment they're brought on this earth. Right? So how much more after they're, settled down and they've grown on the earth, they're still going to be moving in that spirit and more cunning as time goes on. Which is why he's getting more craftier and cunning with the lies and deceit and sorcery, right? But the Lord is exposing all of these different things, right, in these last days, which is why these things are being made known and revealed in these last days by the ways of the mouth of those who the Most High set up. Alright? And so let me see where I was at. Right, Lamentations chapter 4, verse 19 again. Our persecutors are swifter than the eagles of heaven. They pursued us upon the mountains. They lay wait for us in the wilderness. Right? And that's when, dealing with, again, right, ancient Babylon, besieging us, and how the Edomites, they joined hand with that nation to destroy us from off of the land. Verse 20. The breath of their nostrils, or the breath of our nostrils, the anointed of Yahweh, was taken in their pits, of whom we said, under his shadow we shall live among the heathen. Right? So the Lord, the anointed men, the men set up by the Most High, they were, destroyed in captivity by these people, man. Right? Verse 21. Rejoice and be glad, O daughter of Edom. Right? Which is also is another way to refer to the daughter of Babylon. Right? That last from the empire nation. Right? It's literally a photocopy in the future of what ancient Babylon was like. It's the land of confusion. Right? The same stuff they were doing in ancient Babylon they're doing today, but in a more wicked, modern fashion. Rejoice and be glad, O daughter of Edom, that dwellest in the land of Uz. The cup also shall pass through unto thee. Thou shalt be drunken and shalt make thyself naked. Meaning what? The Most High is going to have it to where ultimately, in the last days, right, Esau is going to pretty much expose himself, right, through the spirit that the Most High is putting on him to make them drunken, but not with wine. Verse 22. The punishment of thine iniquity is accomplished, O daughter of Zion. Meaning what? Our captivity, our time to be ruled over by this heathen, is coming to a immediate close. Here's the key point. He will no more carry thee away into captivity. Right? So after being under the hand of this last ruling empire, these Edomites, right, whose emblem and banner is the eagle, the Lord said he's no more going to carry us into slavery. We're no more going to be oppressed, right, pillaged, raped, robbed, murdered. Right? We're going to be free and liberated and be able to enjoy the land of which the Lord promised to our fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Alright? So it says again, he will no more carry thee away into captivity. He will visit thine iniquity, O daughter of Edom. Meaning what? All the things of what you've done in that moment, in that last day, right, in that day of judgment, right, that's when the Lord is going to pretty much get you back for everything you've done to us. He will discover thy sins. Alright? So that's the vengeance in which the Lord talks about, right, all throughout the scriptures, right, concerning this nation. So let's get Jeremiah chapter 50, verse 42. It says, they shall hold their bow and the lance. They are cruel and will not shew mercy. Talking about the nation that the Lord's going to have, right, to execute his judgment on the earth, right, via what? World War III in the last days. Their voice shall roar like the sea, and they shall ride upon horses, right? And the horse is not a literal horse like the ancient world in the Dark Ages when it was fighting with swords and spears. The modern day horse would be like the tank. These artillery vehicles with all manner of weapon warfare. Everyone put in array like a man to the battle, meaning they're going to be in order, right? This nation that the Most High is going to send against these Babylonians, right, which would be these modern day Americans, right? They're going to be ultimately on a deeper level influenced, right, by the spirits that the Most High has running to and fro throughout the earth, right, to be, so perfectly united and in order in battle to where they destroy America, by the divine commandment of the Lord, right, in a great way. It says, against thee, O daughter of Babylon, man. So they're going to be coming up against this daughter of Babylon nation, right, where we just read in Lamentations, right, they're going to have the Israelites in captivity until the last days, right? They're going to be the last empire to rule over the Israelites before the kingdom of heaven is established, which we understand that the kingdom of heaven is dealing with the land promised to the Israelites forever for an eternal inheritance, which is dealing with the land of Israel. Alright? I'm actually a little willing to touch on that later on in this video. Alright, but I want to get real quick Jeremiah 50 and 33, talking about the Israelites in captivity, daughter of Babylon, ruled over by these Edomites. Thus saith the Lord of hosts. Right? Let's start at verse 33. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, the children of Israel and the children of Judah were oppressed together. Right? So we understand that the children of Israel is dealing with the northern kingdom of Israel, and the children of Judah is dealing with the southern kingdom of Israel. Right? Of which, if you're not familiar with biblical, prophecy, these two kingdoms, right, which represent the whole collective nation of the Israelites, they were split, right, and they were divided, right, by tribes. And you had one kingdom, which was the southern kingdom, which stayed, and the other kingdom, which was the northern kingdom, right, they went into captivity abroad. All right. And so the Lord is saying right here that when you deal with the scriptures and history, these two kingdoms, ever since they split, and were scattered, they weren't in captivity together. But the Lord is saying in the final captivity that the Lord is going to have on his people, that both the northern and the southern kingdom, they're going to be in captivity to the same people at the same place at the same time. Alright? So it says, thus saith the Lord of hosts, the children of Israel and the children of Judah were oppressed together, and all that took them captives held them fast, they refused to let them go. And that's how people here, chiefly in America, the so-called black, Spanish, and Native Americans, right, we all been taught the history in school, how we're nothing but slaves, right? That's all accordance with the scriptures, right? Because the Lord said, right, that what we would discontinue from our heritage, pursuant to the book of Jeremiah 17:4, right? But nonetheless, like I said, it's pinpointing that this land right here, right, that's chiefly where our people dwell at, in great quantity, along with the other places in the world, right? This is going to be the place where these Edomites, this last ruling empire and nation, is going to have us in captivity. Verse 34, right before the Messiah comes, right? The Redeemer is strong. It's talking about the Lord Yahushua, who's a so-called black man for the tribe of Judah. The Lord of hosts is his name, and he shall thoroughly plead their cause, or rather, that's the Most High Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, right? That he may give rest to the land and disquiet the inhabitants of Babylon, right? This is not dealing with ancient Neo-Babylon. How do we know that it's not dealing with ancient Neo-Babylon? Well, let's just read up in verse 32, right? And the most proud shall stumble and fall, and none shall raise them up, and I will kindle a fire in the cities. And this is a literal fire. The Lord's going to have missiles and warheads and all manner of destruction, right, befall, right, the daughter of Babylon. All right, that didn't befall the Neo-Babylonian Empire, right, where the Israelites were enslaved to for 70 years in times past, right around 500 BC. That didn't happen, right? So we understand that this is not talking about the literal Neo-Babylonian place. It's talking about a rather spiritual and future to come, right, empire, right, called and also known as Babylon the Great. All right. So this is the Neo-Babylonian Empire, right, on the map. We see the territories in which it's occupied. It occupies the whole, pretty much the whole Middle East, so-called, right, along with some Northeast Africa, Turkey, all these different places, right? So the Lord said that according to prophecy, it's going to be destroyed with fire, right? So not only that, but when you read on in Jeremiah 50 and 51, right, he talks about Isaiah even 47, right? He talks about these different animals, right, and how after Babylon is going to be destroyed with fire, that it's going to be desolate and nobody's going to be able to dwell therein, right? To this very day, there's people living in all of these different regions, each and every single one mentioned. You feel what I'm saying? So that's not talking about, again, Neo-Babylonia. It's talking about some future kingdom to come, under which the Lord will execute his divine judgment in the last days to deliver his people from the hand of their oppressors forever. All right, so this is how we know it's not talking about ancient Babylon. All right, boom. Right, so that's actually talking about America to come, like I said, right? Which is why we read that the Lord will have the armies and the nations come against America, right, to destroy it from off of the face of the earth. Alright, so it says, I'm going to jump down back to 34. The Redeemer is strong, the Lord of hosts is his name, he shall thoroughly plead their cause, that he may give rest to the land and disquiet the inhabitants of Babylon. Talking about these Americans, right, chiefly, and the other nations along with them. Verse 35, a sword, meaning destruction, war, is sent upon the Chaldeans, right, and the Chaldeans was a name known, right, for the inhabitants of Babylon, of the Neo-Babylonian Empire. The Lord calls them that because, right, what the Lord requires that which is past is nothing new under the sun. What has happened in times past in history is going to happen again. And ultimately the Lord, he's identifying, right, this modern day America, right, with the term Chaldean, right, ultimately, right, to have it, right, be expressed in a spiritual manner, right, so that it was written this way for a reason, for only the elect to understand, right? I'm just saying it like that. Let's put it like that, right? And so people would get confused and trip up on the words of the Lord and think that, it's actually talking about ancient Babylon, which I just broke down. It is not, right? But let me get a quick precept in 2 Peter chapter 3 and verse 16. I'm trying to make this thing make sense. A little more than it is. Trying to make this thing make sense. This is the book of 2 Peter chapter 3 and verse 16. As also in all his epistles, speaking in them of these things, in which are some things hard to be understood, which they that are unlearned and unstable rest, as they do also the other scriptures unto their own destruction. So the Lord has certain things in the scriptures that's hard to be understood, right? Which those who are unlearned and unstable rest, that don't keep the commandments, that don't have the Holy Spirit, won't be able to understand, right? It's meant like that for a reason, because the Lord has always an elect remnant, a chosen amount of people to be able to receive and to entreat of the words of the Lord and to understand it and to be saved by it. All right, so not everybody wasn't meant to be saved by the words of the Lord, right? Let me also get this in Isaiah chapter 28 and verse number 10. For precept must be upon precept, precept upon precept, line upon line, line upon line, here a little and there a little. That's showing you the manner in which you're supposed to read the Bible. You're not supposed to read it like it's a regular book. You're supposed to jump to and fro, right? You're supposed to connect the dots, and that's what I'm trying to do through the Spirit, right? And it's Jeremiah 50 and 33. All right, we're connecting the dots, right, from just looking at it from a common historical perspective, right? And even scholars would, certain of them, right, would agree with this stance. All right, not that it matters what the scholars say, but nonetheless to show you that even those who don't have understanding, right, they still even know kind of to an extent what this is going into. All right, so that's playing upon tables, Lord willing, right? So the Israelites, they will be all together as a whole entire nation in this last captivity, according to the will of the Most High, to be delivered by the Redeemer, Yahushua Mashiach. Alright, let me get one more precept on that real fast. Alright, I'm not trying to take the longest amount of time on this, right? But let me get another precept. Let me get Isaiah chapter 11. I'm going to start at verse 10. Isaiah chapter 11 and verse number 10. And in that day there shall be a root of Jesse, which shall stand for an ensign of the people. It shall the Gentiles seek, and his rest shall be glorious. Right, this root of Jesse is talking about what? Right, a root is the very beginning. Right, it's talking about ultimately pinpointing back to Yahushua Mashiach, who were earlier called Jesus Christ. Right, he was the one that descended from the line of David. Right, and you understand that Jesse was the father of King David. Right, to be what? The Redeemer, the deliverer, the Messiah for the Israelites, right, according to biblical prophecy, right? So it's talking about Yahushua. And in that day there shall be a root of Jesse, right, which is that same Redeemer we just read about in the book of Jeremiah, the 50th chapter and the 33rd verse on down, which shall stand for an ensign of the people. To it shall the Gentiles seek, and his rest shall be glorious, right? And you have Gentiles in multiple contexts in the scriptures, right? But nonetheless we understand that the whole world is going to be subject unto the Lord, Yahushua, right? Verse 11, and it shall come to pass in that day that the Lord shall set his hand against the second time. Again, I'm going to read that again. And it shall come to pass in that day that the Lord shall set his hand again the second time to recover the remnant of his people, right? The same way he did in ancient Egypt, he's going to do it again in modern day Egypt, right? Because again, the Lord uses different titles and words and names from ancient kingdoms to describe them with modern day kingdoms, right? Because the Lord has things being done in a spiritual manner, right? In a parable, a riddle-like manner, all right? And it shall come to pass that in the day that the Lord shall set his hand again the second time to recover the remnant of his people, which shall be left from Assyria, right? Which, we understand that the Assyrians carried away the ancient, what's like the northern kingdom, and from Egypt, right? And from Paphos, and from Cush, and from Elam, and from Shinar, and from Hamath, and from the land, and from the lands of the sea, right? So the Lord is emphasizing the fact that from all nations will the Lord's people be delivered, both northern and southern kingdom. Right, verse 12, and he shall set up an ensign for the nations, and shall assemble the outcasts of Israel. Because what? The Israelites at this time, they would be in those different lands and nations mentioned under their hand in captivity, and they wouldn't be in the land of Israel, which is what we see today, which is why so-called black Spanish Native Americans are in that land right now. And gathered together the dispersed of Judah and from the four corners of the earth. Right, the envy also of Ephraim shall depart, and the adversaries of Judah shall be cut off. Right, meaning what? Both the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom, they're no longer going to hate each other. They're going to love each other as one nation, as brothers. Right, the Lord's going to cut off that envy, right? That hatred that so-called blacks have towards Hispanics, that so-called Hispanics have towards blacks, that they have towards Native Americans. All right. Ephraim shall not envy Judah, and Judah shall not vex Ephraim, but they shall fly upon the shoulders of the Philistines towards the west. They shall spoil them of the east together, and they shall lay their hand upon Edom and Moab, and the children of Ammon shall obey them. Right? Where do we see this collective, conquering of these nations other than from the time of King Solomon, right? But the time of King Solomon, right, if I'm not mistaken, that was before the Babylonians came to power, right? But not only that, but when the Babylonians, they came to raid and to besiege Jerusalem, the northern kingdom, it was already gone. It wasn't in the land, so they only enslaved the southern kingdom, right? The Babylonians only enslaved the southern kingdom of Israelites. The northern kingdom was already gone, right? So this right here, verse 14, is showing how both the northern and the southern kingdom are going to be joined together at this time, right? Which is showing you that this is towards the end, and this is a unfulfilled prophecy that is yet to occur, right? So I'm going to just jump down to 16. And there shall be an highway for the remnant of his people. There's going to be a remainder. There's always a remainder. Not everybody's going to make it. What shall be left from Assyria, like as it was in Israel, to the day that they came out of the land of Egypt. So this salvation and out of captivity is going to be just as great as the salvation out of captivity that the Israelites had right from the Egyptians. Alright? So let me get a precept on that. Right, showing you the great extent to which, this last kingdom of rulership will have the Israelites will be in. Right, and the only nation that we know to be of that great extent right now in this present day and age and time would be the so-called America, the Europeans, NATO, EU. Right, this is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 16, and I'm gonna say that verse number 14. Therefore, behold, the days come, save the Lord, that it shall no more be said, the Lord liveth, that brought up the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt. Right, but the Lord liveth, that brought up the children of Israel from the land of the north, and from all the lands whither he had driven them, and I will bring them again into the land that I gave unto their fathers. And that's what we just read about in the book of Jeremiah, the 50th chapter, and Isaiah, the 11th chapter. The Lord's going to gather us from wherever we were, entirely, collectively as a nation. It's not going to just be a salvation for the southern kingdom. It's not just going to be salvation for the northern kingdom. It's going to be salvation for both the southern and northern kingdoms of Israel, also known as, the Israelites, Jacob. Right? They're all going to obtain that redemption and that salvation from captivity in this last captivity, which is going to be equated with the captivity they will deliver from in the land of Egypt. Alright? And this place is also referred to as the daughter of Babylon, as we just read in Jeremiah 50 and 33. Right, we just read about that Babylon, man. Right, behold, I will send for many fishers, saith the Lord, and they shall fish them, and I will send for many hunters, and they shall hunt them from every mountain, from every hill, and out of the holes of the rocks. Alright. So now, I'm going to get a few precepts, right? I'm going to get Jeremiah 51. I'm going to start at verse 1. To show how that America is that last ruling kingdom empire. And not only is it that for a fact, but also when you read the last book of the Bible, which is the book of Revelations, it talks about this last ruling kingdom empire. Right, and its characteristics, and how it's the same as that kingdom that is being talked about in the book of Jeremiah, the 50th and 51st chapter, and many other different places in the Bible. Alright, showing you that it's the same nation, the same kingdom that's going to be in rulership. Alright, so let me get this in Jeremiah chapter 51. I'm going to start at verse number 1. Thus saith the Lord, behold, I will raise up against Babylon, right, we see that word, or that name Babylon again, and against them that dwell in the midst of them that rise up against me, a destroying wind. What's that destroying wind talking about? It's talking about nuclear warheads, missiles, destruction, right? Because when those nukes, when they drop, they destroy everything in its path. It's just a very immense, fiery, furnace of heat that just melts everything in its path, man. And that's what the Lord's going to bring to the specific nation, right? Which is called Babylon. All right, that's just a cold name that the Lord is using for America. Verse 2: And I will send unto Babylon fanners, and they shall that shall fan her, and shall empty her land. Right, those are those nations in Jeremiah the 50th chapter, in verse 33 on down, that's going to come up against America round about to destroy her. Right, it says verse 3: And against him that bendeth, let the archer bend his bow. Right, that's not talking about a literal bow and arrow. The modern day bow would be a so-called nuclear hypersonic missile that America will be destroyed by, according to the Bible. That's thus saith the Most High Yahweh by Shem Yahweh Shah. Alright, let me get a quick precept on them and those missiles, right, being that bow spoken about. right, in Jeremiah chapter 16, or it's like not Jeremiah, right, in the book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 16, I'm going to start at verse 13. It says, for strong is his right hand that bendeth the bow, his arrows that he shooteth are sharp, right, and when you look at a missile, they're shaped like an arrow. They got a pointy head, and they go far distances all the way to the other side of the earth, right? ICBM missiles is what they're called, intercontinental ballistic missiles, right? It shall not miss when they begin to be shot into the ends of the world, showing you that this is not a regular normal bow and arrow. This missile, this bow that's talking about 16 and 13, this bow is going to be shot all the way to the ends of the world, to places where a normal bow and arrow couldn't reach. Alright, so it says verse 3 again in Jeremiah chapter 51, against him that bendeth let the archer bend his bow, and against him that lifteth himself up in the brigandine, and spare ye not her young men, destroy ye utterly all her hosts, because the whole land has to be judged for its wickedness. Thus the slain shall fall in the land of the Chaldeans, right, and they that are thrust through in her streets. For Israel have not been forsaken, nor Judah of his God. So we see both of the kingdoms, right, the northern kingdom of Israel and the southern kingdom being Judah, right, not being forsaken, right, but the Most High remembered us, right, in our little state, in our captivity together in this last ruling kingdom, which is America, of the Lord of hosts, though their land was filled with the sin against the Holy One of Israel. Verse 6, flee out of the midst of Babylon, and deliver every man his soul. Be not cut off in her iniquity, for this is the time of the Lord's vengeance, and he will render unto her a recompense. Alright, we see a similar incident as an account in the book of Revelation, the 17th chapter, or rather Revelation chapter 18 as well, right, describing this Babylon the same way, right? This is in Revelations, this is actually referring to Babylon as a different code name, which is what will be referred to as the beast. Alright, this is the book of Revelation chapter 18 and verse number 4. And I heard another voice from heaven saying, come out of her, my people. And who are the people of the Lord? Right, does the Lord ever change? No, he doesn't change, right? That's Malachi 3:6, right? These people are talking about both the northern and southern kingdom, right, of the Israelites. And I heard another voice from heaven saying, come out of her, my people, that she be not partakers of her sins, and that she receive not of her place. Right, so we kind of linking it up, connecting the dots, like I said in Isaiah 20 and 10, here a little and there a little, to pinpoint it back to America, to pinpoint it back to Jeremiah and Revelation, both speaking about the same exact nation. Alright, verse 7, Babylon had been a golden cup in the Lord's hand, and made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken of her wine, therefore the nations are mad. Alright, yeah, and the nations have drunken of the wine of Babylon, which, again, that's a code word, and is referring to America, right? All the nations, they think it's okay to be LGBTQ, right? All the nations, they have McDonald's and 7-Elevens, right? All the nations, right, they want to follow after and lust after and flock to America. They want to be like America. They want to live in America. They want to get rich in America. They want to, accumulate wealth and a family. They want to live in America. And this place is not as it seems, right? They call it the American dream. And it's a fact, the dream, because it's not really a reality. In reality, this place makes you depressed. It's nothing but oppression, and making you feel as though you're really free when you're in slavery, right? This place, they tax the hell out of you. They make you work like a slave. Us Israelites, that is, right? Even you other nations, man, right? Y'all been made drunk of the wine of Babylon, and America's benefiting off of you, even in Europe. You being a slave, not as much as us. Y'all not really a slave at all, rather, right? This is y'all, being on the hand of these wicked Edomites, right? Y'all gotta adhere to their rules and regulations, but us, we're enslaved here, right? Because we can't go back to our land. Y'all can go back to your land free, alright? But yeah, the point is, man, right? These different nations have been made drunk of the wine of America, right? All of the diverse sins, eating pork, right? Being whores, right? Being, violent and, just, worshiping all these different gods, especially, right? White Jesus and Zeus, right? Nimrod, right? Ashtoreth, all these different gods, these holidays that they celebrate, like these nations, right, are made drunk off the wine of Babylon. They left their ancient culture, and now you got the so-called Chinese man trying to act like the so-called white man in America with a suit and tie. Right, the Japanese man, right, he's no longer wearing his damn samurai uniform, right? He's dressing like an American teacher. All these different things coming to pass because all these nations have been made drunk, right, off of the wine, right, of America. before I get Revelation 17, I'm gonna get this in Revelation chapter 18. I'm gonna start at verse 2. With whom the kings of the earth have committed I'm gonna start at verse 1. And there came one of the 7 angels which had the 7 vials on top of me, saying unto me, Come hither, I will shew unto thee the judgment of the great whore. That's also what America is referred to as. Right? When we think of America, we think about the Statue of Liberty. Right? And that pretty much, the Statue of Liberty pretty much expresses through the spirit. And, the Most High by design had America receive that Statue of Liberty as a gift by the French to fulfill his divine will. Right? Because that Statue of Liberty, that's what kind of makes you think about America being personified and portrayed as a woman. Right? So it says that great whore that sitteth upon many waters, because what? All nations, they want to flock and they're ruled over by no choice, right, over America. Right? Whether they want to admit it or not. Verse 2, with whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication. Right? America has defiled and got every nation drunk, and the inhabitants of the earth have been made drunk with the wine of her fornication. Alright? America has drunken these nations with her philosophies, her wickedness, her evil. So everybody thinks it's okay to be wicked. I mean, these nations are already as wicked as it already was, right? But now they're even more wicked. Alright? So, this is again the parallel, the connections that we see in these diverse scriptures. Right? And I wanted to give Revelation chapter 17 and verse number 4. Let's see. I really wanted 4, right? But before I get that again, I'm gonna read Jeremiah chapter 51. And I'm gonna read verse number 7. Babylon had been a golden cup in the Lord's hand that made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken of her wine, therefore the nations are mad. Right now the nations are angry. Now they're getting mad. Now they want to, depart out of America. They want to leave. They want to go back to their hometown, their home country, because it was better over there before they came over here. Now they're in debt. Now they're poor. Now they're homeless. Right? Now they've realized that they're being poisoned and programmed. Right? And so, these nations, now they're mad. Right? But point is, in that verse, America has been a golden cup in the hand of the Lord. Right? Because the Lord is ultimately controlling and making this place the way it is. Right? On a deeper level. This is the book of Revelation chapter 17. Right? And we're going to see the same exact allusion, right? The same exact idea, right? And thing mentioned in Revelation 17 and 4. It's only referring to none other than America, man. None other than this wicked kingdom where all nations would flow to, right? And would just be ultimately a boiling pot of destruction, of wickedness and evil and confusion. This is the book of Revelation chapter 17 and verse number 4. And the woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet color, right? Was, that's emphasizing how rich this country is, because America, they produce the most. Well, no, they don't produce anything, rather. They get all of their things from overseas, right? They do a lot of exports, right? But they're rich off of these exports, right? They're finessing, they're having all of these different war crimes, in all these different places, and stealing all the gold and the oil, and cutting all manner of sea cables, right, to execute their wicked plans, plots, right? So America has been made rich, right, off of the different nations, right? But now these nations are starting to wake up, right, and they're starting to sober up, like off of the wine, and realizing what America has done and the severe damages which they have wrought, right, to their people and their empires, man. So it says, scarlet color and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls, having a golden cup in her hand, full of abominations and filthiness of her fornication. Right, so we see that same thing, man. America being that golden cup, right, of the which is alluding to. Now, I'm showing you that's the same exact nation, man. You see multiple different instances, right, of America, Babylon the Great, the beast, the great whore, being the same kingdom that's talking about in Jeremiah 51. Right? Reading on, verse 8, Jeremiah 51 and 8. Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. How for her? Take balm for her pain, if so she may be healed. And that's the Lord being, comical, man. The Lord, he has a sense of humor, right? Because, ultimately he's saying that she's not going to be able to heal herself. Right? Right, but the Lord says, what? Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. Right, and let's get Revelation chapter 18, right, in verse, let's see. It's a certain precept I'm looking for here. Bear with me for a second. Okay, that's why I was in the wrong chapter. Okay, should have known. But this is the book of Revelations, chapter 18, and verse number 2. And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, right, so this great whore, right, this scarlet-colored woman, right, who's riding upon this beast, right, or the beast itself, the red dragon, where it says what? And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon. So this same thing is referred to as Babylon. The same way in Jeremiah is referred to as what? As Babylon. Even starting from verse number 1, right, all the way down. So it says, and he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the great is fallen, right? Babylon the great, right? Because it's the photocopy, the modern day photocopy of ancient Babylon is fallen, and has become the habitation of devils, right? I mean, of all manner of demons and spirits, which is where all kind of crimes and, heavy, wicked stuff is going on here in America. In the hold of every foul spirit, and in the cage of every unclean and hateful bird. Alright? So we see all of these different similarities, man, and there's no coincidence. The Lord has it set up like that for a reason. To let you know that these two kingdoms are synonymous. They're the same exact kingdom that's being referred to, just in different books at different times. And the different secrets, right, about these kingdoms are being revealed, right, in these last days, which is why we're able to decipher these things. Because back in the day, you wouldn't be able to decipher these things because what? During the time of Jeremiah, America wasn't set up, right? During the time of Isaiah, America wasn't set up, right? But now, in 2025, right, which is the year we're in now, right, America's set up, and it's at right around the time where it's about to be judged and destroyed and fulfill all the prophecies mentioned about it, right? Because the Lord has ultimately opened up and revealed, right, the things of old that were meant to be revealed, right, at a later time, and that time is no time like today, right, that these things are being revealed. This is the book of Ephesians chapter 3 verse 5, which in other ages was not made known unto the sons of men, as it is now revealed unto his holy apostles and prophets by the Spirit. Alright, so the Lord is revealing these things through the Spirit, right? You have certain men going into these things and reveal these things, and sharing and handing down to whoever needs to hear this thing according to the election. Right, this is the book of Daniel, chapter 12 and verse 4. But thou, Daniel, shut up the words and seal the book even to the time of the end. Many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall be increased. And that's what's happening in these last days. Right, and these nations, they know it. Right, which is why they have great wrath and anger towards the Israelites, man. Because they understand that this kingdom has but a moment. Right, but Lord willing, that makes sense. But I'm establishing the parallel and the connections, right, about this ancient kingdom. Right, and I also wanted to get this as well, this statue of Nebuchadnezzar, right, in the book of Daniel, the 2nd chapter, right? You can read the book of Daniel, the 2nd chapter yourself if you would like. I'm going to touch on it a little bit, Lord willing, in this video, but nonetheless, right, you have a dream given to Nebuchadnezzar, right, who was the king of Babylon, right? You had Daniel, the prophet, right, who was an Israelite, right, deciphered the dream to Nebuchadnezzar. He pretty much broke down his dream, right, because none of Nebuchadnezzar's wise men of his kingdom was able to do so. And when Daniel broke it down, right, this is how he broke it down according to how the Most High, or what the Most High put on his spirit, right? He pretty much told him that each part on the statue represents a different empire, right? So the head will represent the empire which Daniel was in at that time, which would be the Babylonian Empire, right, which is the Neo-Babylonian Empire, the empire that I was referring to all throughout this video, telling you that that's not the empire that would be established to rule in the last days, right? All the way down to the feet, which would be or the legs and the feet, right? Which would be this daughter of Babylon, right? Which is that empire that's referred to in the last days, all right? But nonetheless, right, you see it's broken off into sections. You got the head of gold, Babylon, which would be from 605 BC to 539 BC. You got the breast and arms of silver, the Medes and the Persians, from 539 BC to 331 BC. You got the belly and thighs of brass, the Grecian Empire, which would be 331 BC to 146 BC. And the Grecians, they were Europeans, going back to Esau or the Edomites, the so-called white men. Alright? So that would be the third to last ruling empire. And you got the fourth, the legs of iron, which would be Rome. Right? Which would from 146 BC to 476 AD, which is when they, scholars say they so-called fell. Alright? And which we understand that through the dark ages, they did fall, right? But they came back, rebirthed, right? Which would be during the time of the Renaissance period, right? Which is when America was born shortly after, right? Which is take over, right? As the what? The feet of iron and clay, right? Which was, like they say it themselves, and this is not even me making this, right? They made it. Even these your modern day Bible historians that the Lord's not dealing with, even they know the breakdown of this, right? Because the Lord makes it plain, All right, and so it's talking about these Americans to this very day, and then, that time frame is wrong, right? They got the present day part right, but it really started from around the 1500s, right, when the Roman Empire came back out of the Renaissance period, when they had the iconoclasm going on, when they whitewashed all the biblical images and all these different things, and they came back in rulership, right, ruling over the world again, right, after the Moors. All right, so that's showing you that what the last ruling empire truly is, right, ran by so-called white people, and that is backed up by the scriptures, and that proves the scriptures even more true, right? Because this is literal history that has actually happened in real life, in real time. This is why we have these different time periods, right? Showing that the scriptures is a real book, right? Showing that everything mentioned has not failed. Everything has, is going according to plan, right? So now, the only last kingdom, right, to be established is the kingdom of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, right? Which is the sixth, right? Which it talks about a rock, a stone, right? That's going to destroy and step into pieces all these other kingdoms, right? Also dealing with how the Lord's going to destroy all these other nations, right? Because we understand that this Babylonian kingdom fell, the Medes and Persians fell, the Greeks fell, the Rome fell, right? But then they came back, alive through America in these last days, and so the Lord is ultimately going to destroy all these different nations. You know what I mean? That's what it's coming back to do, right? And the last ruling nation would be these Americans, like I said again, right? Where the northern and southern kingdom would be under the dominion. All right, so Lord willing, that makes sense. All right, and let me get this one quick precept as well in Obadiah chapter 1 verse 4. All right, talking about Esau, so-called white man, being this eagle. Though thou exalt thyself as the eagle, and though thou set thy nest among the stars, thence will I bring thee down, saith the Lord. And it's talking about the so-called white man, right? Because we read up on it from verse number, let's see, from 1, it's going to mention who his audience is, who is referring to. The vision of Obadiah, thus saith the Lord God concerning Edom. All right, so the Lord, he's talking about these so-called white people, right? And the destruction that he's going to bring forth to them. All right. I'm gonna get this real fast as well, right? Because this, even adds on to my point. This is Obadiah chapter 1 verse 15. For the day of the Lord is near upon all the heathen and all the other nations, the enemies of the Israelites, the enemies of the Lord ultimately. As thou hast done, it shall be done unto thee. Thy reward shall return upon thine own head. They're gonna reap with their soul, right? Kill with the sword. You live by the sword, you die by the sword. For as they have drunk upon my holy mountain, so shall all the heathen drink continually. Yet they shall drink, and they shall swallow down, and they shall be as though they had not been. Verse 17, but upon Mount Zion shall be deliverance, and there shall be holiness, and the house of Jacob shall possess their possessions. Meaning what? We're going to be the ones in rulership, and they're going to be the ones also to possess all these different things that the nations possess. The same way they take our stuff away from us, we're going to take their stuff away from them. Alright? Verse 18, and the house of Jacob shall be a fire, right? And the house of Joseph a flame, is allude to the northern and southern kingdom, and the house of Esau for stubble, right? And it singles out Esau because they're going to be the last ruling empire and kingdom that the Lord's going to burn with fire, right? And it's going to go on to say that, and they shall kindle in them and devour them, and there shall not be any remaining of the house of Esau, for the Lord has spoken it. So they're going to be burnt, man. They're going to be destroyed, right? And the Lord says he's going to cut off all these Edomites. So unless there's no Esau, Edomites in the kingdom, unless the Edomites are destroyed, and they're kindled, and they fulfill this prophecy, we understand that these people, they have not yet fulfilled this prophecy, showing that what? This is yet to be fulfilled, right? This hasn't happened yet, but it's going to happen. Alright? It's going to happen. Right, let me get verse 21. And saviors shall come up on Mount Zion to judge the mount of Esau, and the kingdom shall be the Lord's. Right? So, after the Esau is judged, that's when the kingdom is going to be the Lord's. Alright? Esau has yet to be judged. Right? To the point where, because they're being judged now, don't get it twisted, they're having different plagues and earthquakes and different things that's happening. Right? But that final judgment that has been, built up so long is yet to strike. Alright? The Lord is preparing that. Right? Thermonuclear destruction. Alright? It's in the making. Alright? Just give it time. Right? But, Lord willing, that makes sense. But these Edomites being the last one, kingdom once again, having both the northern and the southern kingdom of Israelites under the subjection. And also, let me get, I don't know if I brought this out earlier, right, but let me get Revelations chapter 11, verse number 8. And their dead bodies, the bodies of the Israelites. Matter of fact, this whole chapter is good for real. I'm gonna start at verse number 3. And I will give power unto my 2 witnesses, talking about the northern and southern kingdom, the Israelites on one fold, and they shall prophesy 1,260 days clothed in sackcloth. Right, and that 1,260 days is dealing with the time that these nations have, raped, robbed, and murdered us. Right, and our people being under hand in captivity. Right, from the time that Esau, from even the time that Esau has been in rulership. Right, it says clothed in sackcloth, man. Right, that's being fulfilled. Now the elect are being sealed up through the Spirit. Verse 4. These are the 2 olive trees and the 2 candlesticks standing before the Most High of the earth. Verse 5. And if any man will hurt them, fire proceedeth out of their mouth and devoureth their enemies. And if any man will hurt them, he must in this manner be killed. Alright. Verse 6. These have power to shut heaven, that it rain not in the days of their prophecy, and have power over the waters to turn them to blood, and to smite the earth with all plagues as often as they will. Verse 7. And when they shall have finished their testimony, the beast, which is America, that ascendeth out of the bottomless pit, which is Europe, shall make war against them, and shall overcome them, and kill them. Right? And I can actually dive into that beast ascendeth out of the bottomless pit real quick for the sake of edification. Right? To not just be saying stuff and not really proving it. Right? Let me get Revelations chapter 21. I got a few more precepts. Matter of fact, I'm on Revelations 20. This is the book of Revelation chapter 20 and verse 1. And I saw an angel come down from heaven, having a key of the bottomless pit and a great chain in his hand. Right? It's a little key and a chain. Not just on a spiritual level, talking about, the Lord having something go forth, right? In that specific landmass, the bottomless pit, which is Europe, because Europe is known as being, on a major level, scarce of resources in terms of compared to other nations and kingdoms and land masses. Right? It says he had a key on. It says having a key to the bottomless pit. So I need you to go back upstairs real fast. All right, I'm doing a video right now. Okay, I understand. Put it on the charger and just calm down. All right, I'm doing a video. Right, so it says Salakia. And I saw an angel come down from heaven, having a key of the bottomless pit and a great chain in his hand, and we hold on the dragon, that old serpent. And the dragon is referring to the ancient Roman Empire, right? Which you read about the dragon in Revelation chapter 12 on down, and it pinpoints to the Romans, quite literally, right? Pinpoints to King Herod, on one fold, and on another fold, it pinpoints to the Edomites of the Roman Empire as a whole, right? It says, which is the devil and Satan, and bound him 1,000 years. So this devil and Satan is not talking about the literal spiritual demon Satan. Why is the spiritual demon Satan be bound in chains when the Lord has made him to be created to go to and fro throughout the earth, deceiving and being to deceiving people and causing the sin? Or you're not talking about the spiritual demon Satan, right? Because the Lord has a balance between good and evil. It's talking about the so-called white man, right? The devil is a title used for the so-called white man. I mean, the word devil just means deceiver. It's not a red man with a pitchfork like Christianity paints it to be, right? It says, and bound him 1,000 years, right? There's 1,000 years where he was bound by the angel. It's dealing with what? When they fell, right? When the Romans fell around 476 BC, right? And you have what is known as the Dark Ages, was lasting for roughly 1,000 years after that, right? Because the Lord ultimately had these white people, these Edomites, right, go out of power for 1,000 years, right? And then they came back into power around what's known as the Renaissance period, all right, which is basically 1,000 years after that, all right. nonetheless, the Renaissance period is dealing with these Edomites came back into power, right? The ancient Roman Empire was rebirthed through America, right down the line, right? But nonetheless, it's dealing with that prophecy, with that, with the devil being, cast into the bottomless pit, shut him up for 1,000 years, right? Verse 3, and cast him into the bottomless pit, and shut him up, and set him seal upon him, right? Meaning what? It'd be a certain amount of dispensation of time for this man to be, knocked out of rulership, that he should not deceive the nations no more, right? Till the 1,000 years should be fulfilled. And in order for him to deceive the nations, he would have to be in rulership above, on top of these nations, right? And so for him to no longer deceive the nations, that would mean that he would no longer be in rulership, he would no longer be on top, but rather he would be cast down low. Till the 1,000 years should be fulfilled, and after that he must be loosed a little season. So after the 1,000 years was fulfilled, right, they were loosed a little season, which is what you had the Renaissance period. From, it says what, beginning in Italy around the 14th century, right, even until now, which is a short period compared to the time that they rule beforehand, right? Because the Lord is not going to have to rule, for thousands of years again. The Lord is having to rule for a short dispensation of time until prophecy is fulfilled. And so, the World War III happens, and the return ultimately for the world because Jesus Christ happens. All right. So that's what the bottomless pit is dealing with, Europe. That landmass where these people have ascended from, out of, right, to rule again, right, dealing with that Renaissance period. This is the book of Revelation chapter 11 and verse 7. And when they shall have finished their testimony, the Israelites, the beast that ascended out of the bottomless pit shall make war against them, right? They will make war against us and shall overcome them and kill them. And he did that on a physical, right? But this is more so talking about on a spiritual level, right? They've beat our nationality out of us. Now we call ourselves black, Hispanic, Native American. We no longer refer to ourselves as the Israelites, as the Jews, as the chosen people of the Bible. We believe that they're now the so-called Jews, that they're now the so-called white man, being the people that the Most High chose for itself, right? So that's them overcoming us and killing us, right? And they also stripped away from us, most importantly, the laws, statutes, and the commandments of the Heavenly Father, the Most High God, right? Which is why we were dead, right? Because we wandered out of the way of understanding, right? Let me get that in Proverbs 21 and 16. So spiritually we was dead, right? Because the words of the Lord is what gives us life. Proverbs 21 and 16. The man that wandereth out of the way of understanding shall remain in the congregation of the dead. And both the two witnesses, northern and the southern kingdom, they both wandered out of the way of understanding, right? Out of the way of the words of the Lord. So we were both dead, right? So they killed us, right? Verse 8. And their dead bodies, meaning, our spiritual bodies, shall lie in the street of the great city, which spiritually is called Sodom and Egypt, right? This is where we're lying at, man. America, right? Which is why people are all-time high on drugs, on crack, poor, in prison, in jail, just out here living recklessly like animals, not knowing what the hell's going on, right? It's because these nations have spiritually killed us, all according to the Lord's will, right? But at the end of the day, we're going to be revived, right? We are being revived even right now. That moment of revival is almost finished because, the elect are almost sealed. It says, and their dead bodies shall lie in the street of that great city, which spiritually is called Sodom and Egypt. What was Sodom known for? Homosexuality. And Egypt was known for slavery, right? You can read the book of Deuteronomy chapter 4 and verse 20 to read up on that. You can read the book of Exodus chapter 20 and verse 2 to read up on that. Where also our Lord was crucified. And the Lord was crucified by who? During the time of the Roman Empire, right? During their rulership over the land of Israel. Alright? So it's spiritually describing the place that the Israelites will be in captivity in the last days in, right? And it's none other than America, which exhibits all these different traits. And it's literally an extension of the ancient Roman Empire. Verse 9. And they of the people and kindreds and tongues and nations shall see their dead bodies 3 days and a half, and shall not suffer their dead bodies to be put in graves. Right? And they see us in the state that we're in. They don't do anything about it. They continue to just live on their lives. They continue to establish more Chinese restaurants in our neighborhoods, right? More liquor stores, more churches, right? More corner stores selling us all manner, blunts and all these different things, right? To keep us right under the delusions, right, of America, under the wine and the drunkenness of the beast, right? And they just further on, right, add on to our oppression. Verse 10. And they that dwell upon the earth shall rejoice over them, man, and make merry, and shall send gifts one to another, because these two prophets tormented them that dwell on the earth, and are happy about us being in this low state, right? Because they don't want to be under our subjugation and rulership, right? Under righteousness, right? They want to continue to do things in their wickedness, and they want to continue to be in rulership over us, and they understand that the only way they can do that is through us being brought down to a lower state and being stripped away of our heritage. Verse 11. And after 3 days and a half, the spirit of life from the Most High entered into them, and they stood upon their feet, and great fear fell upon them, and saw them. Right, so as this word was revealed unto us, right, from the moment, of us being, right, when we was first given this truth, right, when the first Israelite received this truth in captivity under these, right, Babylonians, that would be considered that after 3 days and a half, the spirit of life, the Most High entered into them, and they stood upon their feet, and great fear fell upon them, which saw them, right? That moment in time which the Lord had us to be able to receive this truth, and to wake up to who we are as Israelites in these last days. Alright? And that spirit is not talking about, on one photos, it's actually dealing with the actual spirit. Right? But we understand that the spirit is the words of the Lord. Let me get that real quick in John chapter 6 and verse 63. It is the spirit that quickeneth, man. The flesh profited nothing. The words that I speak unto you, they are spirit and they are life. And that's what revived us in our captivity. Right? Which is why I'm here right now in this moment in time making this video. Right? And after 3 days and a half, the spirit of life of God, of life from God entered into them, and they stood upon their feet, and great fear fell upon them which saw them. Right? These other nations, they were terrified at seeing what the Lord has done and worked on the earth. Right? Verse 12. And they heard a great voice from heaven saying, come unto them, saying unto them, come up hither. And they ascended up to heaven in a cloud, and their enemies beheld them. Right? This is dealing with what? Ultimately, the Lord returns, and he saves, right, the elect. Alright? But nonetheless, right, I brought this out to show that in, Revelations 11, it's talking about, right, these Edomites, these Europeans, and how they would be in rulership over us in the last days, and how they would trodden us underfoot, and how the Lord would cause us, right, to rise, right, beyond all odds, right, through his spirit, to be able to, come back to who we are, right, in the last days as the Lord's people, right, in the land of our captivity, in the last captivity, right, being in the land of Babylon the Great, right, also called the Great Whore, Babylon the Great, the daughter of Babylon, right, all these different names, the beast, the red dragon, right, which is going to be the last ruling empire before, right, ultimately we're saved. Alright, I'm going to get a quick precept in 2nd Ezra, chapter 6. I just hope this is making sense, right, verse number 7. Then answered I and said, what shall be the parting asunder of the times, or when shall be the end of the first, and the beginning of it that followeth? So this is Ezra asking the angel, right, when, right, is going to be the end of this current world, right, where the Israelites are in captivity, in the beginning of their world, where they're in rulership. Right, verse 8. And he said unto me, from Abraham unto Isaac, when Jacob and Esau were born of him, Jacob's hand held first the hill Esau, right, for Esau is the end of the world, right, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. Right? So what? Well, Esau, he came out of the womb first when you read Genesis 25 and 25, right? So he was the first one to be in rulership, right? But what? Jacob held the hand of the hill of Esau. It came out secondly, right? And that marks what? Esau ruling for a dispensation of time, and then later on Jacob coming out to rule, right, for this dispensation of time. But his dispensation of rulership, instead of being temporary like Esau, is going to be forever, right? Which is why there's nobody else behind Jacob. Alright, and so it's showing you plainly here that Esau, so-called white man, again, through this nation of the eagle, right, through this nation that's going to be destroyed by thermonuclear destruction of fire, also spiritually called Sodom and Egypt, where also our Lord was crucified. You look on the back of the American dollar bill, you see the pyramid, right, of Egypt, right? We see all these different things, these different similarities that America has with all these different nations, pinpointing it back, right, to, ancient Babylon, spoken about in the Bible. Right, it's not only called ancient Babylon, it's also called ancient Assyria, right? It's also called Tyre Zidon, Tyrus, all these different nations, right, that you read about of old, right? America exhibits and carries on all the different traits through the spirit, right, of these nations, right, allowing us to be able to pinpoint, right, America being this place, right, that's prophesied to be destroyed, where the Israelites will be in captivity in the last days, and that the Lord, right, would later judge for all of the diverse atrocities in which they committed. So I want to get probably like 2 more precepts for bro. Alright, let me get this in Daniel. I probably want to get. Let's get Revelation 13. Alright. It's Revelation chapter 13. I'm going to start at verse number 1. And I stood upon the sand of the sea and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his head the name of blasphemy. And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, and his feet were as the feet of a bear, and his mouth as the mouth of a lion. And the dragon gave him power, and his seat, and great authority. Right? So you see this beast, man, is dealing with the Roman Empire chiefly, right? But out of the Roman Empire, you got these different nations, right, that have came out of it. Right? This leopard is dealing with the United Kingdom, right? When you deal with prophecy, it's like it not. The leopard's not dealing with the United Kingdom, it's like it. The leopard is dealing with the Grecians, right? When you deal with prophecy, Alexander the Greek, right? He was known for wearing leopard skins, right, and all these different things. And there's many other, reasons as to why, but that's one of them. Just keep it plain and simple. And his feet were as the feet of a bear, right? Russia, right? That's their emblem, right? And his mouth as the mouth of a lion, right? The United Kingdom, that's their emblem, right? The lion, right? And the dragon gave him his power and his seat and great authority. These are the ruling Edomite empires after, right, the Renaissance period, or at the start of the Renaissance period, or whatever you want to call it. These are the ruling empires the Lord has set up of Esau that came and stemmed out of the red dragon. Verse 3. Right, and this is going to explain how they're the nations that stem out of the red dragon. Right, they're an extension of the Roman Empire, meaning the Roman Empire was here before it, but they ultimately was birthed through it. And I saw one of his heads as it were wounded to death. Right, and it's talking about the Roman Empire when they fell in 476 BC, and his deadly wound was healed. Right, meaning what? Now he's back to life somehow, and all the world wondered after the beast. Right, this deadly wound being healed is none other than through America, because America is literally the Roman Empire all over again. Right, when you deal with its politics, its economy, right, its society, how it's ran, the things that are done, the different wicked acts that's going on, is literally ancient Rome all over again in the spirit and on a literal level. And they worshipped the dragon, which gave power unto the beast, right, meaning the ancient Roman Empire. And they worshipped the beast, meaning America, saying, who is like unto the beast, who is able to make war with him? Right, because what? America, ever since they won all these different wars, all these nations have been real quiet. They ain't really been speaking up against it. But now in these last days, they're all coming together to fulfill prophecy, to destroy it, right, for the judgments written for the things in which the Edomites and these other nations must suffer for what they've done to the Israelites. Verse 5, and there was given unto him a mouth speaking great things and blasphemies, right? And power was given unto him to continue 40 and 2 months. And this is the time period, the time frame, right, where these Edomites would rule over the Israelites. We will know where the 2 witnesses and the 2 candlesticks who were prophesying, right, to rise up and to awake the elect, right, out of sleep, to be sealed and to be delivered and saved from these things, and for the other nations to be destroyed ultimately in the end. Right, this 40 and 2 months, right? And America speaks great things, right? They just come out and say whatever they want, and they can kind of say whatever they want because they got that power, but that power is waning, right? Which is why we see these other nations rising up against it, and they're about to pretty much take America out of business. Alright, so that was just another quick point. Alright. There's many different ways you can attack it, right? Now let me get this in Daniel chapter 2. I'm gonna get this last breakdown right here. I'm gonna start at verse 40. Daniel chapter 2 and verse 40. It's talking about that statue that I was talking about earlier, that I brought out, right? And it's talking about the latter part of the statue, starting from the legs, right, on down, right? Or what's the legs is the main part, the main member of the body, and then the feet extend from the legs, and the toes, extend from the feet. All right, so that's letting you know how this empire is going to accumulate and form. And the 4th kingdom shall be strong as iron, for as much as iron breaketh in pieces and subdueth all things, which is why, right, the 4th kingdom right, being Rome, they subdued, and they ultimately conquered, right, the last strongest ruling nation. And his iron that breaketh all these shall it break in pieces and bruise, right? And the Romans, they were known for their military and their war tactics, right? Very strong, right? Just like the prophecy states, verse 41. And on top of that, what? In the book of Genesis, chapter 27 and verse number 39 on down, where Esau was blessed with the sword, right? So it says, verse 41, and whereas thou sawest the feet and toes, part of potter's clay and part of iron, the kingdom shall be divided, but there shall be in it of the strength of the iron, for as much as thou sawest the iron mixed with the miry clay. Right, so in this kingdom, right, it's going to be partly strong and partly weak. Right, that's what that iron mixed with the clay is meant. Right? Because this nation is strong, or was strong at one point in time, right, but at the same time it's very divided. And the Lord says in Matthew chapter 12, right, I'm going to say that's verse 20, Matthew chapter 12 verse 25, right, I'm going to get it. The Lord says this, and Yahweh knew their thoughts and said unto them, every kingdom divided against itself is brought to desolation, and every city or house divided against itself shall not stand. Let's say this is not going to America. In verse 26, this is referring directly to the so-called white man. If Satan cast out Satan, right, the white man is the damn devil, he worships Satan, worships the devil, he's divided against himself. How then shall his kingdom stand? How can America, how can Rome, how can these different places stand if they're divided? And one group and one party is constantly seeking to, rule over this other party. We are the same damn nation, right? But that goes into that division that the Lord's talking about, right? Verse 42. And as the toes of the feet were part of iron and part of clay, so the kingdom shall be partly strong and partly broken, is letting you know right there in 42. Verse 43. And whereas thou sawest the iron mixed with the miry clay, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men. Right? All the nations are going to flock to America, which is, what they've done and what they're still doing to this very day. But they shall not cleave one to another, even as iron is not mixed with clay. Right? These nations don't really like each other. They're under that wine and they're drunken. But now in these last days, that wine, that drunkenness, they're starting to wake out of it and they're starting to resort to their own people. Verse 44. Right, and in the days of these kings shall the God of heaven set up a kingdom, right, which is the kingdom of Jacob, which shall never be destroyed. Right, the kingdom of the Israelites, man, through Yahweh Shah being the one to establish it, right, in the name of the Lord Yahweh, right, and the kingdom shall not be left to other people, right. This is going connecting back with the book of Lamentations about how, right, this captivity that the Israelites would be in under the Edomites will be the last captivity, right? Because what? Ultimately, the kingdom that's going to come when Yahushua comes, his kingdom is going to be forever, all right? The Israelites are no longer ever going to go into captivity once again, right? But it shall break in pieces and consume all these kingdoms, and it shall stand forever. All right, verse 45. For as much as thou sawest that the stone was cut out of the mountain without hands, and that it break in pieces the iron, right? The so-called white people, right, the brass, the clay, the silver, and the gold, those other nations, right, the great God had made, right, because ultimately Esau, right, he gets his information, his knowledge passed down from those nations that were before him, which is why it's saying that the Lord's going to destroy all of these nations at one time when he comes, right? It's not like the Lord literally is time traveling between the time of the Babylonians and then he goes to the time of the Medes and then he goes to the time of the Greeks. No, the Lord, all these nations, they pass on their knowledge and information, right, to the nation that conquers them takes over what they've discovered, and and they build off of that, right? The Lord's coming to destroy all of it at once because it has nothing to do with the wisdom, knowledge, understanding of the Most High Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shah. Right, so again it says, and they break in pieces the iron, the brass, the clay, the silver, and the gold, the great God have made known to the king, which shall come to pass hereafter, and the dream is certain, and the interpretation thereof is sure. Right? Verse 46, then the king Nebuchadnezzar fell upon his face and worshipped Daniel and commanded that they should offer an oblation and sweet odors unto him. Alright, so that's, the will of the Lord at the end of the day. Right? Right, that this last one kingdom, right, can't stress it enough, is going to rule over, is going to, be called Babylon the Great whore, the daughter of Babylon, the mother of all harlots, right? Even Babylon itself, right, which actually is America, right, that nation, that empire in the last days set up by the Most High to have both the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom of Israelites in captivity, right, before the return of who the world ended to call Jesus Christ. Right, so Lord willing, that makes sense. Right, but that, I want to end this video, right, giving all praises, honor, and glory to the Most High Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shah, and with that, Shalom.